All right, we're live.
We are live.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Board of Health meeting tonight. I'm going to be spearheading the meeting. Our chairman is not here this evening, so it's myself and Joyce Gilmore, along with our health agent, Colleen, and our able-bodied inspector,
General.
inspection services coordinator, Jack McClellan.
AKA glorified paper pusher.
You do a
Oh,
damn
you're
good
way
job.
more than that. Way more than that.
Yeah.
Give yourself some credit.
All right, so first up on the agenda this evening is the E.L. Harvey fiscal year 24 contract update.
I spoke with Mike Sespan from E.L. Harvey last week. He said nothing has come across his desk as of yet, so he was going to follow up with their attorneys to find out where in progress it is. So we still do not have anything from E.L. Harvey as of yet.
Okay. I know that you and I have talked while we're on the subject of E.L. Harvey. I guess we're having some customer service.
Yes, I spoke with Heather Redmond,
Photos.
who's the customer service representative. I guess there was some sort of disconnect with customer service and the driver that delivers the toters, which is
Yep.
another E.L. Harvey employee. But she was kind of trying to figure out what that disconnect was to get that squared away.
Yeah.
But the addresses that I was waiting to get delivery confirmation on have been delivered.
Yeah.
So hopefully that disconnect is no longer in play.
And I think, and this is regarding those folks out there that didn't get toters, or folks who've come on the program since and need the new toters. So are we up to date at this point?
As far as I am aware, we are up to date.
Okay.
I haven't received any calls and they haven't received them as of yet.
Yep.
So what happens when we get new subscribers onto the program? Tuesday's the day I send the list out saying, all right, we have a new account for trash. Here's their address. And on Wednesdays is when they're supposed to deliver the toters.
Yep.
So I'm hoping we are up to date because I haven't received any more phone calls from subscribers saying they haven't received them yet. So fingers crossed, it's.
Keeps you connected
Current.
with the community.
Right.
Yeah.
Fingers, toes, eyes, everything.
Yeah.
Joyce, you have any questions or
No, I have plenty of questions, but not about that.
not about that? Okay, great. So we'll look forward to hopefully seeing the contract in the near future, formal contract. Item number 2, Mendon landfill update.
I am working with a DEP representative. Her name is Caress from the DEP. She's going into the archives, slowly finding files for the Board of Health on the old Mendon landfill. I'm slowly getting some documents from her, but not the documents that we really want to get our hands on. So I'm hoping as time goes on, we are going to get those documents from her. I'm looking for the permit for the closing, any agreement of the closing and who's responsible for what sides of the landfill. Colleen has been in the archives of the town hall looking for the warrants to find out when the funds were first issued to take care of the monitoring for the landfill.
Yeah.
And I am going through the old Board of Health
I-
minutes back from the 1960s and 70s and seeing Joyce's
And
name.
your
pop up.
name's all over them.
And see if there's anything in the minutes that transcribe that say that the Board of Health takes over the full responsibility of the landfill, but nothing as
I
of
do
yet.
not think that is what happened, but I was not, I mean, I'm pretty sure that it wasn't, but
There was a letter that's in the box that I have over at the Board of Health office from the, I forget what they called it back in the day, the engineering DEP, wasn't DEP, it was something else.
Civil
Right.
engineering, something like that.
it was
Something like
something
that in
else, yeah,
Massachusetts.
yeah,
But there was a final decision made
yep.
that the Mendon Board of Health was responsible for A, B, and C. And Ferrucci was responsible for D and E.
Right, which was the biggest part.
And there is a map in the box, but it's like a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy a million times over that you really can't tell what the real layout is. So that's, oh, you got it?
Oh,
This
yeah,
was
that's-
an aerial view that we found when we were going through it. So we found a very helpful letter from Mike Nofri also. And he really detailed what the town's responsibility was versus Ferrucci's responsibility. So that was very helpful. He identified the parcels A, B, and C for the town and D and E for Ferrucci. But the thing is that, and we have this also, Jack and I have been scouring It's just that if we could figure out from this site map, what on that parcel, what, you know, delineate A, B, and C and
I just-
D and E. And Jack got this from Atlas and it shows us where the wells are located on the parcel. So when we can figure it out, but Mike mentioned in his letter too, that, Shea Engineering also had a map that maybe might show A, B, and C, and we can
Right.
compare it with, what
They-
Jack
they-
got
they
from
should-
Atlas.
they should, have that.
So we were gonna give
Right.
Shea a call, but see, this is an aerial view,
Right, yeah.
but it's kind of hard.
Looks
you
like a,
know?
looks like
can
a
I ju-
workshop test.
Yeah, exactly, exactly, you know,
Yeah.
but it's clear that, from Mike's letter to the town, once the final decision was made, whose responsibility is whose, he spells it out in this letter.
Right, because
Okay.
this is, I think, where they had the town had a dumping.
Mhm.
But Ferrucci was paid on a regular basis for that. You
Mhm.
know, I mean, it was the town's trash, but it was his job to clean it up. So I'm not even sure why that should be. You know, they should be responsible to me, in my opinion, for the whole thing, but that's another.
Yeah, in Mike's letter, he discusses that, that issue and that, you know, the way that apparently that the DEP looked at it was regardless of the fact that, the town paid for Ferrucci, the town dumped there.
Right.
So the town's responsibility was for A, B, and C, and Ferrucci's for D and E. But what's interesting too to me is that there's only 5 wells, monitoring wells. And the agreement with Atlas is for 5 monitoring wells. So what wells?
I think that's for the big parcel. It's not for the town parcel. It's from the parcel from when they were bringing in trash from out of town, and it was really, you know, stuff dripping, and it was unbelievable, you know.
I think logistically though,
And
the
it
test
goes
wells-
all the way down to where the lady's house is.
Yes.
That was the thing, because that was the day that's what I did. I went up there and the guys had this big, huge, PC9 or something like that. I don't know, with the big tires. The tires were huge, and he's in there and he's in the water, and the river's right next to
Yeah.
it. And I say, stop. Did you hear the story already?
Mm-mm.
Oh, stop, you know, you can't do this. And my daughter was like 3 years old, and she's hanging on to my hip, and he's got this T-shirt on with his cigarettes in his sleeve, and he's got a scar down here. And I said, you can't be doing that. I said, you're in the groundwater. And he said, hey, lady, that ain't groundwater. That's just water on the ground. Like, yeah, no, do not do another thing. And then Ferrucci and, ready here,
Yeah, we have one guest.
and his wife, his new wife, said, you can't, you have no, you can't do this. This is our property. You can't do anything about it. I said, yes, I can. You know, chapter 151A says blah, 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 blah. And they're like, no, that's not right. That's all right. I have my son-in-law, he's an attorney, and he was the one that was in that, he was the one that was questioning me all the time. And
Oh, yeah.
that thing, I couldn't keep reading because it kept going upside down. So, but I'd love to just see it sometime, because,
The book is in, yeah. We started reading it.
yeah.
Yeah, we were reading it. But it would be helpful if we contact Shay and maybe they can just show,
Yeah,
maybe they have a
because it's
map.
been so long,
Yeah.
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah, it's what, 40 years? right?
Yeah, I mean, I could go out there and show you where they were digging and what they were doing, and it was all that whole parcel with where the pipes are,
Mhm.
that was there. You know, and I mean, I can see it on there, the one that with the picture, the actual physical picture. That's. This is it right here. This is theirs. This D and E,
Mhm.
You know, that's that whole, and this is, if you come into the dump, it was like over here. The people would drive in.
Yeah, this one here shows you the roadways in. This is from Atlas. It shows the well, locations.
Right.
Jack got that from
Right.
Atlas Forest.
Right.
For those guests who just joined us, we're talking about agenda item number 2, which is the Mendon landfill. The letter you mentioned from Mike, was it? What's the date of that letter? Out of curiosity.
Is it Mike or Lou? Because Lou Nofri was the attorney at the time.
Oh, no, you're right. This was Lou.
Yeah.
This letter is dated June 18th, 1982.
82. Okay.
1982. Seems like yesterday.
So that's when we're gonna go into the archives and figure out,
Yeah, we started looking at the, books in the town clerk's office.
Right.
We went through the first book of the 70s. We were into the book of the 80s.
Right.
And Jack is cross-referencing it with the, Board of Health minutes from that time too.
Good. Yeah. And did you get anything from the lady that lives in the house?
Haven't heard back yet. I did reach out when we
Oh.
last spoke. She left me her email.
Yeah.
So that's what I had for contact.
I could come knock on the door because she's been at my house.
Ah, okay.
She's-
Recently?
No.
Oh.
no, Back when she was trying to find out
Oh,
what the heck,
okay.
how come
Yep.
I didn't know about this and all
Oh,
that stuff. Because I didn't know that he had sold it. That was young Jimmy Ferrucci that lived there. I didn't know that it was sold because I would have said something to somebody that, hey, wait a minute.
Yep.
You know, that you're buying a dump.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
to speak.
I sent her an email, so I'm just waiting to hear back.
Okay,
It'll be interesting to see if she has anything in addition to what,
right,
Yeah.
but that was a pretty good compilation of data.
Contact
Yeah.
Trace.
Yeah.
yeah,
so
yeah,
it'd be nice to compare what we have and what she has.
Yeah. My guess is it might be copies of what we have,
Yeah.
but it'd be interesting to see if something new
Yeah, exactly.
she might have acquired, in the process. So,
yeah, because I was working with her and I don't know what happened. I don't know, whether she got compensated from Ferrucci or what for having that in her backyard. I don't know that. She was a nice lady though. I mean, I'm trying to help her.
Mhm.
And so the update is, we're still working on it.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, Colleen, thank you for jumping in to
Oh,
pitch in on that
Both of us
area.
together.
That was nice.
Yeah.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. The
Another
transcript,
set of eyes.
the transcript was pretty cool. I started to go through it, the court transcript.
Oh, yeah,
It was kind of interesting to,
yeah.
I wish they had the
Hopefully can some of
exhibits
it.
there though.
I know, that's what I was hoping for. with the
All summer,
exhibits.
we were in
Yeah.
a court all summer.
Oh, yeah.
All summer, yeah.
It's just too, I mean, it's probably this thick. I just wish that like the exhibits that they refer to, that you could flip to see what they were talking about,
Yeah.
it would have been helpful.
Mm,
Yeah,
Agreed.
okay.
it was an interesting time
Mm-hmm.
because young Jimmy Ferrucci was threatening to kill me and to burn down my barn and to kill my kids
Oh,
and
my God.
because my kids were little at the time, so that was good. They weren't out doing anything, so,
Mm,
oh yeah,
Wow.
unbelievable.
Hmm.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
I would ask if if our guests have any questions on the topic of the Mendon landfill. No. Hearing none, so we'll move on to the next topic. Item 3 is hazardous waste day update.
All right, so the hazardous waste day was a couple of Saturdays ago on August 12th. We've had a few more cars that we did last year, but not as many as we did in 2021. But a couple of Saturdays ago for hazardous waste, we had 34 quarter cars that came in, 27 half cars that came in, and 29 full cars that came in, totaling 90 vehicles for that day's event.
That's a good turnout.
Yes. Very good.
And I am gonna, when the time's available, I am gonna try for a September date, like a September 14th, so 2 Saturdays after Labor Day for next year.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
we thought that, I mean, that was one of the first things I did was that last year time.
Yeah.
And there were like so many cars, they were like, holy
Yeah.
Bedelia. And we had a pretty, even,
Yeah, and that was in November of last
Yeah.
year.
and they were just coming at a, a little slow pace so that we could talk to everybody and,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah.
And the thought in moving it out from the August timeframe into the fall is that you might capture more people.
Mhm.
Home,
Folks are out of town,
Yeah.
still away on vacations.
Yep.
And you get everybody back, kids are back in school and,
right,
the summer's over, so, cleaning things out,
Right.
pool chemicals and all that stuff. They're ready to
Yep.
maybe toss, so that'd be great. Yeah. Yep. And, dollar wise,
I haven't received the contract, back the bill yet.
the bill from them?
Yeah, I haven't received the bill yet.
Okay. Well, we're well
Oh,
well covered with the
we're well
budget, so.
below what we have budgeted.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yep.
Cool. I'll ask our guests if there's any questions on this topic, hazardous waste day. Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 4, which is recycling and energy drive discussion.
All right, so this will be the first event. This is co-sponsored by Green Team Junk Removal and National Grid. This is a recycling and energy drive, and it is taking place on Saturday, September 9th. The hours that this will be available is from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and this will be held at the Miskel Hill Middle School. This event is going to be taking furniture, textiles, electronics. They do have, if you have an old humidifier, you can get a $30 rebate back from National Grid right then and there. It is $20 per vehicle, but the fee is waived for a dehumidifier drop off or clothing food donations. But what we have in front of us is basically the mailer they're going to be mailing out. This is no cost to the town. They do all the mailings. And this is going to include Hopedale, Mendon, and Upton.
So
Good.
mailed directly to all the residents.
Yes, they will get mailed all directly to the residents.
Awesome. So it looks like there may still be some items that folks might bring that might have a per item charge.
Yes, there
To
is
them.
some text asterisks next to some of them.
Right, yeah.
There will be additional charge, like for tires, it's $15 each.
Mattresses,
Styrofoam, which I was surprised to even see on here, you can bring back styrofoam, $10 a bag.
Mhm.
Okay.
so are we supposed to be there?
You don't have to be there. They have the whole entire green team. I will be there, but the Board of Health, not like a hazardous waste day type thing.
No,
They take care of all the thing and they will have a police detail in front.
okay,
Do we have to do anything as far as like confirming the setup or the staging piece of?
Fred Cullen, who's in charge of the green team, him and I are gonna meet the week before,
Oh,
just
good.
to scope it out
Beautiful.
and see how many trucks he's gonna need, to where it's gonna be placed. It's gonna be like, if you're looking at Misco School, it's gonna be on the right-hand side.
Yep.
Because the left-hand side, I guess there's a hockey game going on, so they wanted the people to have the left side of the parking lot. But
Okay.
the right side would be for the Board of Health and the green team junk removal people.
So I probably answered this question and hearing about the hockey thing. So the school's in the loop on
Yes,
this event. They
Yeah.
all.
it's
Yep.
probably soccer though, don't you think?
soccer,
I
maybe
would
soccer.
think it's soccer.
There's a game going on in the field.
Yeah.
I don't think it's soccer.
It's a Saturday, right?
It is a Saturday, yes.
It's
September.
going on the field
On the left-hand side, if you're looking at Misco.
if you're on the left-hand side.
Yeah, where it's where they play soccer.
Yeah, they could do soccer. Yeah, it could be a couple of things, but yeah. Probably the little kids
There's no disposal
set up
charge
fields
for it?
there. Yeah, because those are
I
like the
think it's what
baseball,
the final
softball fields.
Yeah,
but
it'll be-
in
But
the
I mean, they
fall,
don't charge the town.
you kind of convert them.
No charge to the town. at all.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, it really is. I like this. Is Mendon part of the Central Mass Mosquito Control Project?
I
We,
want to say we are.
we are not.
We are not, okay.
We are not. That was a topic that we looked at a couple of times over the years and we opted so far not to participate in that program.
Is there a benefit to,
Absolutely.
okay,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they'll spray your yards. They spray on the town on a regular basis. They also will take tires for free if you, without the rims on them. But we have seen, and I don't want to jinx the town, but less cases of West Nile virus. They monitor all the
Right now,
traps.
they had two in Northbridge.
Yep, yeah, they monitor all the traps. It's a great program. Been participating in it for a long time. The, Tim, is in charge of the program and he's a really great guy. It might be something moving forward that the town might want to.
Is there a budget line item cost for it?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, and it's based upon your population, so you could contact Tim. I can give you his contact information if you want to look into it. But what they'll do is on a regular basis, they'll come in and they'll spray the town. They announce the dates and you can put them up on the website and whatnot, but then if you want your yard sprayed specifically, they will come and they will spray your yard specifically. A lot of properties that, are close to the water and stuff, take advantage of that.
Right.
But the other thing too is that they'll take all the tires without the rims, but they'll come and they'll take all your tires for nothing.
Well, the Board of Health had in years past presented it, I want to say at least twice to the town.
Mhm.
And the townspeople majority voted not to participate, mainly because of the concerns they have and the nature of the town of Mendon
Yes,
is agricultural
yep,
in its definition, right?
Right.
So the concern they had was the spraying element
mhm,
and how it could negatively impact other elements of nature.
mhm.
So it had been voted down a couple of times. I mean, it's always potentially worth if the board felt
Right.
wanted to bring it again and see what gauge the feeling of the community.
Yeah, you could talk to Tim too with regards to those resident concerns, as far as the spraying goes and maybe they may have, a different compound that they could use.
Right.
Well, what we found is that for the most part, people wanted to exercise the option themselves. So if individually,
Right.
if they wanted to
Spray.
do their property,
Because I can remember, the airplane, uh, going, and I would have to deal with that. The guy would come to the airport, the actual old airport.
Yeah.
And across the street from me.
Yeah.
And, he would be there and then there would be so many people that would have things that like flags or something that they didn't want to spray. But I mean, he's going around in an airplane,
yes,
so it's pretty, yeah,
pretty broad. So it'd be pretty
Right.
difficult to say to somebody, hey, your property's not going to get sprayed.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And the concern now they do it in trucks.
Yes, they do.
But so maybe their
They feel
process
better
is
about
more
that.
specific. Because I do know that we had a gentleman come in and actually speak on the topic at one of the town meetings about it. And I think one of the elements was you could, if you did not want to participate, you could be put on a list.
Mhm. Oh, yes, you
not-
absolutely.
And
can
not have your
contact
property
them.
sprayed, but there
Yep.
was a concern.
Yeah. So we,
Or
I would have, I
cross-contamination.
would have a whole list of people that didn't want
Yep,
to be
Right.
sprayed, but again, this was an airplane.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, different than a truck. Now they use the truck.
I mean, if it's something that we thought we'd want to re-present again to the town, we could certainly.
Well, I mean,
Do
there are
that.
so many different things now. Malaria is getting,
Mhm.
is very virulent in the warmer places and we're getting to be the warmer places, although August, it was very cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, everything is, eh, we haven't had that problematic thing,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, those things are happening and the West Nile is, again, as I said, I just read about the 2 cases in Northbridge.
Mm-hmm.
Now, are these human cases?
Oh, yeah.
Because my understanding was I thought they were just finding samples in mosquitoes, but no human cases have been reported yet. So
Well, my understanding was there were 2
2 people.
cases.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, okay. Which is, you never want to, one's too many. You don't like to see it happen, but
Right,
been a pretty positive summer
yeah,
overall.
Yeah.
Considering.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. The other part of that I'll just add is the cost of the program that was put out. I want to say roughly, and I'm guessing now, but roughly around 30,000, something like that was the number that they gave us for the cost to do program. And so the other thought was that maybe that money like that maybe could be better well spent in other ways. Education, going to kind of just reaffirm to the folks, hey, dusk and dawn are the hours to try to avoid, wear proper clothing,
Right.
use personal protection, taking,
Don't leave water,
Yeah.
water buckets, so.
Yep.
yeah, indeed, exactly. So,
All right.
any questions from our guests on the topic of, well, kind of segued on the topic, but on what we just discussed with recycling and energy drive?
Like looking at this.
Yeah.
Nope.
Really great.
Not seeing any questions?
Nope.
All right. So move on to the fifth item on the agenda, which is the health agent's report. Colleen's up.
So we received a concern with regards to 10 Northbridge Street, which everyone is aware of. So we spoke with the owner on Monday, August 14th. He's working with Gibson Septic, and I believe that he had it pumped. When I spoke with Stevie Donatelli, he told me that he did have it pumped. The tenant, from what I understand, has moved out, so that unit is vacant. He's also in the process of refinancing the property to get the funds needed to upgrade the septic system. He's been in contact with an engineer to get plans to submit to the Board of Health. And he already has a septic installer in mind. And Dan was on site yesterday with the property owner, and he informed him, Dan also let him know that there's some state programs that he might want to look into. So this situation is ongoing. We'll leave it on as an agenda item until it's closed.
So I just want to let you know, I went by there today. It was like 8 o'clock. Because I went and had my picture taken for the thing at BBT, and I was coming back, I had my class this morning, and I saw, it looked like a moving truck going in and people bringing stuff into the house.
Oh.
It looked like someone was carrying things in, and there was a woman there as well. And they had a big, like, white truck, and yeah, so,
Okay, we'll follow up in the morning then with the property owner.
yeah, I don't know what it was doing, and I didn't feel like stopping because I didn't want him to.
Okay, we'll follow up
Yeah, I
in the
didn't
morning.
have time. Right.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw that for sure.
40 North Ave, we received a complaint on August 15th. And we had Steve Donatelli go over there, and he did note that there was in fact effluent on the surface. He spoke with John Gibson. John Gibson pumped one of the cesspools. The other one has to be pumped. It's full. The system is in failure, and the Steve actually John Gibson advised the property owner that he would have to have it pumped on a regular basis. And the property owner is also in the process of selling the property, and that.
What's the number again?
40.
Yeah, oh, I put that down. That was
Yeah.
right. Okay. Jeez.
But will continue to monitor it and follow up with John Gibson. I was actually going to give John Gibson a call tomorrow morning and find out a little bit more, but Steve Donatelli did speak with them, and John told him that he was going back over to pump out the other cesspool.
Right.
Steve said that the ground was dry. It had dried up because that first cesspool was pumped, so there wasn't anything else percolating to the top. But he said that second cesspool needs to be pumped as well, but the system is definitely in failure.
Right. Yeah, so, and my understanding is he wants to sell the house, but so
Yeah.
he would never get a Title V,
No,
Correct.
no. So he's gonna have to,
do the work.
right.
So
Right.
do we have was a formal Title V submitted to our office by John that declared the failure?
Not that
No.
not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware
Didn't
of.
we have one?
Well, I think what they've said that it is in failure, so he's got to, Mr. Audie's got to come to the forefront and make a decision whether he wants to sell the house. So is he going to sell it with the bad Title V and then would take money off the house thing, and which is
Right,
what they
hold it
often
in
do,
escrow,
like
right.
that, right?
So, so what you're saying, so there is a Title V that we have in hand that's,
No,
oh,
No.
just a
That's-
verbal from John Gibson, who's a Title V examiner, and he can look at it and tell you the fact that there's effluent coming to the top of it tells you that the system is in failure.
so what I'm getting at from a formal perspective as a department is that it may not be a bad idea to actually have the documents that actually spell out the nature and the conditions of the property, and we actually have it on file and record it as such, as opposed to just the verbal. To be, to be honest with you,
Like an email from John Gibson.
no, the actual Title V.
I don't believe you can have a Title V. We can't
He
enforce
does-
a Title V on somebody unless they sell the property.
Well, we responded to a complaint,
Correct.
so
But it
this
was a
wasn't,
complaint by a roaming person.
but what I'm getting at is the owner didn't decide to do this of their own accord. It wasn't voluntary,
Correct.
so it developed because of a complaint that came to the board. So now the board has the responsibility to monitor and take the appropriate action that might be needed. But that first step would be to have a Title V in hand that says the system has failed and this is why it's failed. And then you can move forward from that. Because without the documentation, it's just a discussion.
So we can enforce a Title V?
Or you can ask John Gibson if he would in fact complete the Title V, but the resident's gonna have to pay for that report.
Right.
That's the
Exactly.
thing. So the resident has to engage the examiner to perform the Title V. We could get an email from John, basically
Just
reiterating
saying
what we
that-
just
yeah,
discussed,
right.
and that, that would be proof enough or documentation enough that the system is in failure.
Mhm.
And it can't be sold until there's an agreement made.
Just seems to me like there should be a formal Title V record on file in our possession that says it's failed. As opposed, I guess you could have something
Well, I
right in an
mean,
email.
I don't think you have to have a formal Title V, but you have a report from the hauler that says this has failed.
Think that's
And
sufficient.
That,
enough?
and yeah, that instead of a Title V, because like Title V is a different thing, that needs to pay. That's, he's gonna have to pay for a Title V eventually.
See, and
Well,
then
we
a
don't-
time frame is put on it. So once you have a Title V done and it fails, you have 2 years to bring the property into compliance.
That's
So-
correct. That's
So the
why,
clock will start ticking.
but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The clock should really start ticking because this came to the board as a
Mhm.
complaint. It wasn't like the homeowner went out because they were selling the property and they wanted to get a status of the system. And John came and said, this is gonna fail. That type of a report does not have to be reported to the Board of Health as we determined based on the
Voluntary
guideline.
Title V.
Voluntary Title V. This was not a voluntary situation. This was a response from the public or a complaint from the public to the Board of Health that there's something going on that might be a public safety concern. And when we investigated, it does appear to be an issue.
Well, the alarm is already, the bell's been rung. You can't unring it now. So in lieu of a Title V, the board may want to consider sending Mr. Audie a letter with their understandings and, and request that the property be brought into compliance because of the health issue. The board cannot continue to allow breakout like that. That is a health concern. And that's the kind of letter that we.
I know the DEP does have a Title V enforcement order the Board of Health can issue.
Mhm.
I'll have to
Okay.
find out what the parameters are for that. But that's a DEP form that gives the Board of Health the legality of saying you have to bring this up to code.
Do we know what the cost of a Title V would be? Out of curiosity?
On the inspector, I've
Right.
heard anywhere from.
You're talking
Need up 250.
a
to
couple
$500.
$100.
And you'd rather have them spend that money on putting
Exactly.
into the system
Yeah.
at this point, and then
Right.
after the system is installed, then he's got gets a Title V.
Okay.
And
Well, I guess
that's just my opinion, having worked as the engineer.
Right. No, and I wouldn't, I'm not trying to enforce or have the homeowner incur any extra expense
Oh,
if it's not
absolutely.
needed. I guess what I just want to make sure is that,
It gets done.
well, want to make sure it gets done, but I want to make sure that we have a chain of communication that's valid. So if it's something in lieu of a Title V, if like you said, what you mentioned, Jack, or just an email from John, if that's sufficient enough for
Right.
the board, should there be delays? Or something,
But I mean, I think we need to keep it, we need to keep the train on the track.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
That and, and Northbridge Road as well.
Right. So I mean, would the thought be to,
Yeah, Northridge Road too, yeah, for sure.
would the thought be to try to utilize what Jack was referencing with this enforcement thing?
Yep.
I mean, I'm open to that, just something that kind of
Right.
We can look at
formalizes the issue.
Up and in the forefront.
Yep.
that, so that we can see
Yeah.
the chain and act. So if something, like I say, gets hung up
Yeah.
Yeah,
for whatever reason, no, they never said this to me. You know what I'm saying? They don't have the
Right.
verbal, you got the written. From a legal perspective, I think it's always good to have the written,
Mhm.
part. So, yeah, I mean, I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can, Jack and I can,
I just always thought
look
that
into it tomorrow.
Title
Maybe
V
we
was
should send
something
it to
that,
Northbridge
right.
Road.
But
too.
see, that's more like a transcript that goes with property, with the property.
okay,
But to say you don't have a Title V, and to get a Title V, well, they're not gonna get a Title V unless they put a system in.
Mhm.
They can't have a Title V without, having a new system put in.
well, I
Or
meant,
a failing system, a Title V isn't acceptable for a failing system.
yeah, I meant
know,
from an
so-
inspection standpoint. So you could
Right.
have a Title V report and the result is failure.
Right,
Right.
but we know it's failure. I mean, we've got the thing that says it's a failure.
Right.
And to say, well, we need a Title V that says that, we have the information that says it's a failure.
So we have
They
something in
have
writing
it too.
now that says it's,
Right.
we do have something in writing now that says it's in failure. He's saying no.
Well, no, but
Just verbal.
Colleen has been there, right? Were you there?
No, I
Were you
wasn't
there?
on North Avenue. I sent Steve Donatelli
Oh,
there.
Steve did.
Yeah,
So
Steve Donatelli, and he confirmed that
right,
it is.
Steve will be able.
I
to-
currently do have an email that said it's in failure.
Right,
From Steve
Okay,
Donatelli,
from
but not in
Steve.
great detail.
Okay. Well,
He said
if
he
we
was
could,
on the property, the system is in failure, here's a couple
Okay.
of pictures, that's basically it, so I do have. a
okay, that's
sentence.
something.
Yes.
That's a verification. Maybe that along with this enforcement
Enforcement of it, yeah.
thing.
Plus the fact that he has to have it pumped so frequently, that
Right.
also is an indication of failure.
right.
No, understood. I understand the practicality of it.
Yep.
What I'm kind of getting to it is, if, and God forbid, push comes to shove and we start to get legal on these issues, I would just want to make sure that our ducks are in a row, that we don't have to go back and retrace steps because we didn't set it up correctly
Right.
in
But I
the
mean,
beginning.
Let's go back to the 10 Northridge Road. We didn't give them, he doesn't have a failed Title V. But he knows what he has to be doing and, I don't think he's doing it. I don't see him doing anything. I mean, I think he's playing the game, but, I'm talking to this one, right, let me see the paperwork.
Mhm.
So, and you just mentioned 10 Northbridge, so there's been no enforcement given to 10 Northbridge yet.
No,
So this is the game that I personally want to stop,
Right,
to be quite honest with
me
you.
too. Well, I'm
Right, right.
I'm there, I'm on the thing, every time I go by there, I'm checking and I'm like practically stopping and checking and seeing and,
Right. But if we don't
keep up the mark.
keep up on the,
I
keep the train on the
definitely am gonna
track.
Keep up the mark. I'm
Right.
gonna tell you right now. I'm
So-
gonna, because that system, did you see that system in the back?
No, I saw pictures though.
It was, yeah, and that's unbelievable.
Mhm.
And in what world is that gonna be okay?
Right.
None,
Right. Well, we'll definitely tomorrow, look at the verbiage for that enforcement letter that Jack mentioned. And,
Right.
in my opinion, I think that both properties owners should get the same.
right, me too.
I would
You know,
concur.
'cause
I would
he's-
agree.
Well, he's always, well, I'm going on vacation. I'm going to be on my boat.
well, that's what he told me yesterday when I spoke to him.
Yeah, right. But somebody was there this morning.
Right, and that's concerning because if there is someone, I know the previous tenant had moved out, but if someone else is moving in, that's concerning.
It
'Cause
looked,
that
it
means-
appeared to be,
Well,
to
that's-
me.
That's against the letter that we mailed to them saying you cannot rent out this property until everything's been fixed.
Right,
And that's stated in that letter that we sent out in June
you know,
To 10 Northbridge.
to
The
Denver.
10
Right.
Northbridge, yeah.
right.
Because we did, is there a similar thing on the other 10 Cape? That was something was done similarly?
10 Cape, no,
No?
No.
Okay.
because they fixed their septic system like within that first week.
Yeah, okay.
Well, there was a clog.
Yes, yeah.
That wasn't a failure to function. That was
Right.
just, that was a massive,
He ended up clearing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Poor-
that's the next
poor-
property.
Poor Carrie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was, yeah.
yeah,
Well, 10 Cape Road is the next property for discussion and, well, for update.
Okay.
So we did issue the orders to him. I spoke with the property owner on Tuesday, was it?
Yep.
So he did have the pest control company come in. We contacted Milford Exterminating. They are sending us the reports. They found nothing at 10 Cape Road at all. They found nothing at 10 Cape Road. The fecal matter upstairs, in their opinion, it doesn't look like that it is wildlife fecal matter. It's more domestic animal fecal
Right,
matter. It didn't present itself
like the
as
cat isn't chained.
it didn't present itself based upon the, the composition of the fecal matter. Not that we want to get into a broad discussion on fecal matter, but wildlife fecal matter, from what was explained to us, has a different composition than domesticated fecal matter. He has to fix the closet and install the handrail. I told him that I would be there either tomorrow or Friday. We did receive another complaint from the tenant that she was experiencing yellow water. She sent us a video. We looked at it Tuesday morning. Myself and Dan went over there. We ran the water in the garage, that's on town water. That's that small
Right,
area
yeah,
there,
yeah,
Talbot Farm.
140, yeah.
Yep, that's
Yep.
all on Hopedale water.
Yep.
So we went through the bathrooms in the garage and we went in the sink and we, turned the water on. We put it in a clear container so that we could see there was no yellow whatsoever. We went into the unit and we ran the sink in the kitchen. We put it in a glass bowl. The water was clear. We did do some research and we spoke with the fire department and with Dan
Dan Byer.
And from what we understand, the fire department, we got a text message from the deputy chief. They were filling up their tanker. And Dan explained that it's a very small system. Filling up the tanker is probably what caused the yellow water, and confirmed with the tenant that the day that they were filling up the tanker was the day that she had the yellow water. So that resolved itself. So I am gonna follow up with the property owner tomorrow or Friday to make sure that he's complied with the orders that the board sent out. He's been very cooperative. I have no reason to think that he will not.
Now the tenant, have they been do they know yet about what we found out about? the
Yes,
Yes, Dan
Yes.
spoke to her personally.
yep, Dan spoke
Alright.
with her personally.
All right,
And
cool.
that, we went over the day that she filed the video, or it was Monday, Tuesday morning, Dan and I were on scene.
So we're seeing what you call meaningful progress.
Absolutely forward progress.
Yeah.
Yep.
Forward progress.
Yep, forward progress. Yeah, and the most important thing is that she has potable water, and she did have potable water.
Yeah.
There was potable water on the property in the garage as well. There are 2 bathrooms in the garage. 2 sinks in the garage, and we checked them all, and and come to find out it was the tanker, and that's what will happen. Dan explained that's a very small system and anything's going to disrupt it. So,
I didn't even realize that they were on public water.
yeah, that's.
There's an area there.
That
you know.
Talbot Farm,
Yeah.
that road, that's all on.
I was gonna look for well reports. I'm like, why can't I find anything on this well?
That's
Yeah.
why.
I'm like, let me check the water department and it said Cape Road and lo and
Yeah.
behold.
Yeah,
But
yeah, that small area.
Awesome.
And then we also had a complaint, from Sunrise Apartments, about, bed bugs. And so we, spoke with Milford Exterminating and they did go there. They're sending us the report. It's in apartment, the second unit.
Mhm.
They believe the culprit is, a piece of furniture that's there,
The couch.
the couch. So they're gonna,
Oh, bed bug heaven.
yep. So.
Is that a piece of furniture that's come in recently or something into the apartment, you know? Did they? That carried, you're saying might have carried them in or?
I don't know how long that couch has been there for. I'm not
Oh.
sure, but you're absolutely correct that that's usually how it happens.
Yeah.
You know, if sometimes people pick things up on the side of the road. I'm not suggesting that's what happened this time.
Right,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
It's notorious, but nevertheless, the thing is
Right.
that you don't want it to go through
Sure.
that apartment building. So the housing authority has been, very active in treating, the units. There were
Nice.
2 units. And, we'll get the pest control report from Milford Housing and
Will they get rid of the
the couch.
couch?
I'm not sure. I didn't speak to them directly. Dan did, and I will follow up with him, but we're gonna keep this on as an agenda item just so
Right.
that, because we don't need to have an issue
Right.
with bed bugs.
Oh, I hate that when that happens.
Mm.
And it's
Yeah.
not too far from my property, so those little critters could move very quickly.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, the thing, you know where they're.
We'll give them the address.
Yeah,
Thank you.
they really love electrical outlets.
Yeah,
I
That's
heard you
where
mention that.
they.
that's how they transform themselves. Yeah.
Mhm. Mm. So, we
Hate
will.
those little critters.
Yeah, we will, keep on top of this. Dan spoke with, Milford Exterminating on Tuesday, and they were gonna send the reports right over to us. So we'll follow up with the, Milford Housing Authority with Laura and make sure that they stay on it. Food establishments, and there's no concerns right now. I've spent the better part of, the last couple of weeks going out and introducing myself to the various food establishments. Dan wrote up this wonderful newsletter that explains, the importance of managing your logs. And so I've been going out and introducing myself to the establishments and suggesting that they read this, newsletter that Dan put out, and in the back of it, he has a sample of a log. So I've been expressing the importance of it to, the various,
A copy of that?
oh yeah, right here.
I would love it.
It's a really, I mean, he did an excellent job. You want me to?
Yeah.
He's a good guy. He is.
you.
I went up to, Van der Valk Farm over the weekend and, on Friday night and, cause we needed to inspect, Cousins Maine Lobster's, mobile unit. I mean, they've got it down to a science. I mean,
Right.
everything, there were no issues there as far as food labeling and things like that. There were 3 gentlemen that were working there. One of them was the one that was ServSafe certified. Had a conversation with them just about different things that, that we'll be watching for. I also visited, a couple of establishments over the weekend too, went in and introduced myself. As a matter of fact, one of them going back tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock to inspect. And, we're just moving forward with making sure that, that they're all inspected. And it works out well because some of them are on the weekends and I'm local, I'm around Saturdays and Sundays, and Friday nights to go up to Van der Valk Farm and stuff and everything. So it really works out well because Dan and Danielle are only here like during the day. So whatever they can't get to during the day is what I'm going to, fill in that gap on like Friday afternoons or Saturdays and Sundays.
Well, as you're doing this role, and it's right now, it's only what, 15 hours,
Mhm.
right, formally? So, I wouldn't want to see you extending yourself, beyond that for the sake of quote unquote, getting the job done. So point being is that if you find yourself as you go along, you're finding that things are happening and there aren't necessarily enough hours
Mhm.
in the day, so to speak, to do the work, I would be interested in seeing that noted so that potentially down the road, we might, as a board, be able to then come to powers that be and say, we're seeing justification here for
I keep it on my calendar, so for that very reason.
There you go.
So that if there is an a
Yeah.
concern or an argument to be made, you guys will actually have the documentation to back up, what your
Right.
concerns are.
Right.
So I keep track of it. Yep, I do. I have it on my phone. I keep track of it.
Don't lose the phone.
I know. I'd like to lose it.
Do you know, did you ever lose your phone um, well, I thought I lost my phone the other day
Oh, God.
and I'm like, where my watch? I have this thing that tells me where my phone is. And it's telling me, no, your phone's not here. And I'm out in the garden because I had been picking beans and like doing the phone, doing my wrist thing. And like, okay, what the heck? Where did I lose my phone? I was like so upset. I was like, everything I own is on that damn phone. And so all of a sudden up comes on my watch, it says, find your phone. So I hit find my phone. And my phone is over in 36 Rock Meadow Road in the pocket of my husband. Where my granddaughter was. Yeah, he took my phone. But I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it showed a picture of Rock Meadow Road with a circle that said 36
There it is.
right there, and it's flashing.
Yep. It's a wonderful thing either that, I don't have that, so I just resort to praying to Saint Anthony and hoping that he helps me find
Yeah.
it. I mean, it's the same thing like with our pocketbooks, right?
Yeah,
God help us if we ever lost them. I mean, everything's in there,
I know.
and now it's your phone.
Have you lost your pocketbook at all?
Not lately.
I haven't either.
I think he did. He lost it one day. I know. I saw him looking for it.
And actually, in my case, it would be called a man bag.
Yeah,
The man bag, I remember that, yep.
Do you
Yeah.
remember, you
Yeah.
familiar with the show Friends?
Friends, yep.
Yeah.
Joey
Oh,
Tribbiani
yeah.
character?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
He found it very useful.
He did, very much so.
Yeah.
Well, actually, back in the day, it was actually called a briefcase,
yeah.
Ah.
right?
The strap on.
Yeah.
Okay, is there anything else you had on your end?
Nope, not with regards to that. Just, like I said, it's really working out well as far as filling that gap with Dan and Danielle.
Yeah.
We're working on, the regulations and all of the permit forms, trying to get standardized regulations and standardized forms throughout the partnership.
Yep.
It'll just make it easier, for everybody. And it's also good to go back and look at regulations, just for, for updating purposes, if anything's changed, regulatory wise or, mass general law wise. So, we've been spending a lot of time on that. Yep.
I did have a couple other properties, had a question about, I don't know if you would necessarily have an update. You might have an update.
I did see the list, but I didn't look to find out what was going on.
Oh, okay.
But I do know one of them was Fort Uxbridge, so that's Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah, that was really more from, I was just curious from
They have
the
a
fire.
Fire. That
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
So when,
Everything go well in the
Yep.
follow-up?
oh yeah, so, went back, and,
What I didn't know what caused the fire. What?
Costa, they,
Oh.
English muffin or a bagel got stuck in the back. And we've all done it, take a knife or a fork and you're sticking it in there. Well, it had a plastic handle on it. It hit the hot,
Yeah,
melted it, smoke. They used the, extinguisher, so that made a mess. So we went in there, Tom was there. Made them, get rid of that thing. And everything, all the food, paper products and everything that were in that area. The deputy chief was there too.
right.
And we checked the food. I was concerned about the open container where the donuts and stuff were and what the trajectory was for that extinguisher, deputy chief. And we discussed that and stuff, but I went back, they cleaned everything up. I mean, they did a
Nice.
fantastic job. They got a new toaster. And all the paper products, everything was discarded.
Beautiful.
Immaculate, and they opened back up.
Good.
Nice,
So that was that.
nice, awesome.
But the other properties we'll put on next agenda to follow up on.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. That's all I had on that. Did you have any other questions?
A lot of questions, but not about this.
Not about that one. All right. Any questions from the audience? Seeing none. Move on to agenda item number 6. Select Board collaboration at BOH meetings update.
I have not heard anything, so I'm assuming they had a meeting tonight, I believe, the select board.
Yeah.
So I don't know if tonight they made a decision if somebody was
Nice.
coming to the board.
Or let Joyce step in there. Do you want to provide the update that you were given at the last,
Well, that was, I asked them and they said, yes, we're gonna get to that. About when we were together, you and I were there
Yep,
together, and
yep.
I said about the,
So that was at last week's Board of Selectmen's meeting.
Yeah.
the week before, was it last week? or-
Because
We had one last week and we had one tonight.
Oh,
Yeah,
One
it
last
was-
Was their scheduled, original
Right.
schedule.
it was last week. I know Joyce was there, Bob Sweet was there.
Right,
I was there on a couple of other issues,
trying to
but
figure out what to do about the task force. and-
that topic came up.
Right.
And
Right.
basically what they said was, which seemed to differ from what at least my expectation was, I was under the impression they were supplying a member from their board
Mhm.
Right,
to be an active participant in that task force.
Correct.
right,
What Mike has said actually is they are looking to provide a member, but it will be a non-voting member.
right,
So basically, it's almost like an ombudsman type of thing. They're gonna have somebody involved, but they won't be an active voting member of the committee.
Okay,
So essentially, all the members that have been appointed to that task force,
could have already started meeting.
yeah, well, yeah, so now you can officially move forward, get that first meeting going.
well, what's his name, Dudley?
John Dudley.
John,
Yeah,
he was going to talk to, Alan Agro, and so what has to happen, the people have to come in from the lake that are on the thing to get, everything has to have a secretary and a,
Correct.
you know,
So the email I sent out today, because I did watch the select board meeting and I didn't see anything about this decision being made about the task force. But John Dudley says, just get the people that we have already. We'll just have a meeting, and if they get a select board member on board, then fine, but let's just get what we have now.
yeah,
get it moving.
So I have one tentatively scheduled for Tuesday, August 29th. So next Tuesday
Right,
will be the kickoff task force.
okay,
awesome,
And I'm figuring at that meeting, everybody's good with 7 o'clock on Tuesday for right now.
yeah.
But the fourth Tuesday doesn't work for everybody, so we're gonna try, waiting on Ellen to see if the third Tuesday of every month is good for everybody.
so
Because
that's August 29th, right?
August 29th, next Tuesday is the first kickoff,
Right, at what time?
7 o'clock. So, at that meeting is when we're gonna be able to,
It's here,
yes, is gonna be able to, all right, now it's gonna be every third Tuesday of the month at 7 o'clock for the task force, once a month type meeting.
Well, and Joe, you may think differently. You folks might even find that you may not even have to meet monthly consistently throughout the year,
right, but sometimes
Right.
that, to keep things going in a,
just to keep it consistent.
right, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay,
Right, so the other thing that I wanted to ask you about was, the letters that we sent out, have we gotten how many letters do we sent out? I mean, did we get back about who was pumping their septic system?
Oh, I have to go back, I don't know, it was like 70% back,
Oh, 70%?
yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
it's a
good, because I'd
it's a
love
good
to look
response.
at that.
Yeah.
And so that would be a good thing for the meeting on the 29th to establish that kind of thing.
Mhm.
And see, talk to
Mhm.
that. Because they're always calling me. Oh, I want you to come and look at this. I want you to come and look at that. And I'm like, okay, I'll be over and look at it, but well, it's not much I can do about that. But
Yeah.
at the moment, that's conservation.
Yeah,
Who doesn't seem to want to play the game.
Mm.
Well, for your awareness, I did last night, have a conversation with Wayne, who's part of the Lake
Yes.
Nipmuc,
Yeah. Wayne Phipps.
the association.
Yeah, I see him at the
Mm.
senior center. He's always telling me,
Oh, yeah,
this you have to, because I do the Panera bread
yep,
once a month, and he said, you know, did you hear about this and this road over here and that road over there? And I'm like, okay, I'll go look. But it's always stuff that's conservation.
Mm.
So I did update him based on what came out of that board,
Right.
select board meeting. And just made him aware that it's gonna ramp up. And I actually did, John Dudley was also part of that conversation.
Right,
We just so happened to have a brothers meeting last night.
right,
So that's where I ran into both of them.
right,
So John was gonna be doing the reach out and,
right.
so that's, you know.
Yeah, so we've got the meeting scheduled now. For
Yes.
Tuesday, the 29th.
Yeah. And one of the things I did mention to Wayne, and I don't know if I had ever mentioned this to you since you've kind of been on board, is at one time in the past, when this topic had come up, we at one time did have like a public hearing up here. And we had an individual come in from the testing group that was doing the testing for us on the lake. And because the concern at the time, part of the concern was the contamination
Right,
possibility that it could exist from possible seepage from septic, right? On that regard.
Yeah.
And the comment that was made by the individual at the time was that her belief was if that was a potential cause of contamination, then the readings you'd be seeing would be, and I quote, off the charts. We've never really had a reading in general that has been off the charts. We've had high readings of things, but I can't qualify or quantify off the charts because the state has a standard. And sometimes on occasions we go over that with
Right.
the test, but never seeing an off the charts. But I will say, I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, the first time we did testing this year, wasn't there an extremely high reading?
There was one last year that was in the
Last year?
600s. And the state
For E. coli.
for E. coli is 235.
But nothing this year that ever came up.
We've been over, but nothing like last year at the 600 mark.
That was a high one.
Yeah,
Okay.
but we have been over.
Dan's got a new machine too, didn't he get a new kind of a thing that they were doing testing too? That the lake, not the Lake Association, but the
Task force,
no,
Water Commission?
Parks Department?
wait a minute. Give me a break a minute.
Yeah.
The you know, the people that take care of the swimming lessons and the lakes area there, they invested in a testing thing that they could do on a regular basis.
Oh, Dan Byer from the Parks.
Correct.
Yeah. I think he got I believe he acquired a self-test kit,
Right,
right?
right.
That's what I had heard. I don't know if he's put it into,
Well,
Play
I
yet.
hope he's put it in, because he was talking about getting it, because we were talking about, when I was talking to the woman from Worcester who does all the water stuff there in the
Yeah.
lakes and everything. They have these little buoys, you know, and they go and they run by the solar. And they're out in the pond in different places and they check them, you know, all the time.
okay.
See,
Did you guys ever have an opportunity to test the systems around what Red Dye?
well, that's what we were talking about. See, that's exactly what I wanted to do. See, is,
Because
Yes.
we've done that.
yeah, that's what I wanted to do, right? Didn't I tell you that? Yeah. But,
Then there's no
Right.
doubt.
right,
Well, you're right. I mean, the picture's worth 1,000 words and a color in the water is gonna pretty much
Right.
tell you yay or nay, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I mean, if it gets to that, then
well, I think it should get to that. I think that, I mean, why are we having E. coli? I mean, people aren't, hopefully people aren't going swimming and evacuating their bowel. Unless that would be,
well, there are natural sources in nature that can cause E. coli.
I understand that, but not a 600 and blah, blah, blah.
So that's what I couldn't speak to. I'm not being on the science side. I don't know
Right.
how much, like say 600 from say 127, whatever the
Right.
max is.
Yeah.
What does that actually mean in real life contamination level?
But that's why I wanted to get all the reports of everybody's septic system and see who was doing it and what they were getting and how
How many
how
gallons
often
there?
they were
Yep.
doing it,
Right.
blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
You know, that was one of the things I wanted for it's a guideline, you know, starting point. So,
And that's the part where we're 70% there.
Yeah.
That's 70, so.
yeah, so,
It's a good,
yeah, I'd like to look at it and see, you know, who's not coming to the forefront and what they're doing and that's.
How many houses? Are there?
How many houses?
Hmm.
I want to say I have like a little over 100.
Wow.
sounds about right.
Yeah. Oh, and you should see them. Well, I got a call from that woman that I told you about that wanted me to go over and look at the ice house,
Oh, yes, yes.
right? And that's another thing that's really good to conservation matter too, but let's not bother me, but.
Would that, not, sorry for interrupting, would that be a number that would be actually abutting on the water? 100? That
what?
many? Would 100 actually be the number of properties actually on the water
Well, then they're not on the water, then,
They're in.
versus the other side of the street?
right, there's two sides of the street, but
Yeah.
they're, yeah. But they've got septic systems. and-
I'm gonna say, I want to say it's just the abutting. Don't quote me on it, but I want to say it's just the houses on the lake itself.
Are at the 100 mark?
Yeah.
Okay.
But you've
I
got a
will
lot
double
of.
check, but I want to say it's just the
You're gonna
houses.
feel it.
Yep.
I may have done
No.
houses across the street for runoff purposes,
Yep.
but I will double check the map.
Really? No kidding.
Yeah. all
I
these houses.
remember because Kinsley Lane, I mean, that was just like a mud puddle.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because
Right.
friends of mine, Bertie Lacudara,
Yeah.
they lived up there
Yeah,
and that was, God,
yeah, well, wait till you see it.
really?
Unbelievable. Anyway, this woman called me and asked me, you know, she said, I talked to the building inspector and he said to call the Board of Health. About this building, the ice house. Do you know what I'm talking about? The ice house there?
Yep.
He said, yeah, call the Board of Health.
Why?
So
Is it abandoned?
it's it's falling apart. It's old. I mean, it's not antique. It's not historic. It's not one of those, because I already checked with the Historic Society.
Do you guys have abandoned property regulations? Because if you don't, then the Board of Health can't do a whole lot.
Well, what would the Board of Health do anyway? I mean, you don't, it's not being used. It's just, it's like an old,
Check.
shack.
But if you have abandoned property regulations, then what you can do is you can monitor the abandoned properties and within the regulations, you set criteria for the maintenance of those abandoned properties. And if a property is in fact, collapsing like this property, then you can, issue an order for it to, be torn down.
Well, it would be nice to have that happen. But anyway, what happened was I went over there and looked at it and, she's right. It's
Dilapidated.
dilapidated and there's all tree growth all around it. And it's ruining the persona of the lake right
Mhm,
there, the people
mhm.
that are living across from it. And so I said to her, in my opinion, it's not our job.
Mm-hmm.
But
Not right now, no.
no, but I said, if I were you, what I would do is I would go house to house and get signatures and bring it to the select board and then go from there and let them take care.
Absolutely. I was gonna say, she could gather the association.
Right.
Absolutely.
So this abandoned property regulation thing you meant, sounds like you've had some experience with it. So does something like that actually originate from a local Board of Health versus say from a building department
Board of Health.
or zoning?
Yep,
It's
no,
from Board of Health?
Yep, absolutely. The Board of
Oh,
Health can adopt regulations as they see fit and need for the, health and protection of their community, and abandoned property is one of them. And within those abandoned property regulations, there's the maintenance of the property, the brush that you spoke of, make sure the utilities are capped off.
See, there's no utilities there. That's the thing. It was just an old
Yep.
ice house back in the day when the Wagners, I think the Wagners still own it.
They do. Yeah, it's
Do
still
they?
in their ownership. Yeah.
I can get you guys a sample of the regulations
That's
that
interesting.
we adopted. They're pretty comprehensive. We, had them, reviewed by town council and,
Here?
No, Blackstone.
Blackstone, yep.
Sorry.
yep, and then,
So you're right, they're ahead of me, all right.
yeah.
Again.
Yeah, no, and, they're pretty handy because there are quite a few abandoned properties. And there may be in Mendon too, but at least with those regulations, the Board of Health they have to register abandoned properties with the Board of Health so that we're aware of it and there's a fee for that. And then you go out and you monitor the properties. The grass gets too high, the brush, the overall condition of the structure itself, and things like that. And it helps and the neighborhoods appreciate it because,
Yeah.
they don't want to be living next door to a,
Right.
to an abandoned property that's not being maintained.
That's the thing that
You
comes to
know?
mind for me. It could be a benefit to people around this
Absolutely.
piece of
Well,
property.
like for one, the more thing that comes to my mind right now is the Carlson place in the crotch of the road, Maple Street.
Oh, yes, yes.
I mean, that's abandoned. That's just sitting there collecting rats, I'm sure, and
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff.
And that's the other thing too, is that from a Board of Health standpoint, you don't want, like there was an abandoned property. What happened is that, the back door, kids were going in there and they were partying and whatnot and everything, and left the back door open. Well, what happened was that wild animals were going in there. I mean, people's, pets went missing. Guess where they were?
Uh-huh.
Well, what was left of them. And so this is what happened with this property.
Right, but this was in fact like a garage.
Yep.
That's what it looks like. I mean,
Yep.
you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
It's got two big doors and,
Yep.
Still,
it was never housing.
yeah,
or
but it doesn't
anything
matter.
like that.
Any structure
Yeah.
or any property that's abandoned, it means their duty. First, like I said, it has to be registered, and you can put like, we charge a fee of $100 and if they don't register it, then there's a fine on top of that. And then you go out and you make sure that, the property, especially in the, in the warmer months, people who are maintaining their yards don't necessarily want to look at,
Yeah,
a
that-
shebang,
Right.
and it requires them to go out and to maintain the
Just to
property.
keep it up.
Yeah, make sure that the structure is sound,
Yeah,
make
it doesn't
sure,
look very good.
right, that the utilities are
Right.
shut off and things like that. Oh,
Yeah, I
I'll
don't
get
think
you
it had
guys.
any utilities at all.
Yeah.
Ever. It was, back in the day, they would cut the ice and keep it there.
Yep.
In the winter and, get it to different people and stuff like that.
This way here, you have the ability to monitor these properties and to enforce maintenance of them.
The idea's got some merit.
Yeah.
Really good merit. Okay,
I'll
I'd
give
be,
you
I'd
guys
be
a sample.
interested in,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. Anything else on the task force side that you don't wanna?
No, that just was that lady that found me to take care of that.
All right, great. Any questions from the audience?
Guess left.
There is no more.
Just us.
Was that?
It's just us now.
Just us. All right.
Okay, we can
So-
dance on the table.
That takes care of agenda item number 7. So agenda item number 8, tobacco permit discussion.
Oh, you looking at me?
Who's up on that?
I haven't got any tobacco.
So with regards to your tobacco permit, Jack and I did a study on other towns in the area. And your tobacco permit fee is a little low. And you may want to consider,
Currently, right now, it's $50.
Yeah.
For a tobacco permit in town of Mendon,
most towns,
and Hopedale's 500.
yeah.
This is just a permit for an establishment to sell tobacco.
Correct.
Yep,
Is this something that they have to re-up every year?
Correct.
yes,
So it's an annual?
yes,
Okay. So since we're looking to introduce tobacco enforcement or tobacco,
Exactly.
and there'll be an expense to that,
exactly.
Correct.
and we want to make sure at least that the permit fees are at least covering that expense,
Correct.
right?
Right now, we currently have 6 stores in Mendon that sell tobacco.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Mhm. And I spoke with Jody from the Tobacco Alliance, so within the next 2 weeks, her and I are gonna be going out. And we're
Yeah.
going to do the education portion of it first. Jack got a bunch of signage from the clearinghouse, so we're gonna be passing that out.
Yeah.
We did get a complaint on an establishment that actually one of our inspectors was in it doing a food inspection and noticed that the cigar cabinets were not locked. And they should have locks on them. So she reported it back and went and visited the establishment, introduced myself and whatnot. Very cooperative. The owner was very, very cooperative and had a nice discussion with him, went back there. Yes, no, today.
Today you did.
Yeah, I went back. I know. It's like, wait a minute. I went back there today and happy to report that the locks were installed
Nice.
and everything is up to par. I did mention to him that, he has the signage like on the windows and on the door and stuff, but when you come into the establishment and you're standing in front of the counter and the cigarettes are here and, you're looking for your brand or whatever, there's no signage there that they card or anything, so suggested that they get some sort of signage up there. And when Jody and I go out in 2 weeks, we'll make sure. I had a conversation with her on Tuesday morning. And we discussed that. So she's gearing up, as am I. We're gonna go out, we're gonna educate the 6 establishments, and then after that, we will move forward with the compliance.
So what do we think we're looking to do as far as active monitoring for these establishments for Jody to on an annual basis? Oh, what kind of
2 times, just like the food,
couple
per
of times
year.
a year?
Yep, unless we get a complaint, and just like a food establishment, then we go out, we look, we investigate the complaint.
Yeah.
And if there is any correction that needs to be made, we suggest the correction and then we come back for the compliance check.
What do we determine the cost would be from Jody? We had a
Yeah, it was,
roughly
it was probably gonna be about $1,000 a year.
from her, this would be an annual, this is gonna be like a contract thing
Yeah.
that she's gonna present
Yep,
to us,
yep,
which we don't have in hand currently, correct?
we
Okay,
do not.
so she's just gonna put a monetary value on it to cover
She
the,
sent us an email with regards to what her fees would be. Once we do the retail education component of it, that's something that we can handle in-house ourselves moving forward.
okay,
The youth compliance checks that they're experienced in that area.
Yeah.
So there would probably just be that annual fee per year to do the checks.
Yeah.
Ideally, it would be nice to have, I'm not saying have the tobacco permit fee completely cover that cost, but it should, be more than the current fee that it is now to offset that cost.
would you say that dollar value is a fair dollar value for an annual?
What dollar value, 50?
No, 1,000? That what she's
No, 1,000 from Jody.
from Jody.
The town.
Oh, yeah.
She's looking to charge
Yeah.
the town,
Yeah, for
us.
this year, just for this time to get the retail education component of it
Yep.
complete. Then after that, we can do that ourselves, so that wouldn't be any cost.
Yep.
Mendon has never had it before.
Yep.
So we should go out and educate the retailers on what the program is and, what we expect of them per their tobacco regulations. We're gonna go over their tobacco regulations with them, what they have agreed to. Once they file for a tobacco permit with the town of Mendon, they should be familiar with their tobacco regulations and the requirements in their tobacco regulations. This particular establishment, it's covered in the tobacco regulations that the cigar humidors have to be locked. It was just, an inadvertency. But if that's something that continues to happen, then that's something where, we use that opportunity to educate them and
Yeah.
refamiliarize them with their tobacco regulations.
And God willing, we get on their grant for fiscal year 2025.
Right,
Right.
and then it
That's
wouldn't,
Then
it
it
was,
doesn't cost us anything.
right,
Right.
That'd be good.
What do you think?
unless we get a complaint And then we have to go and investigate that complaint. And technically you're paying for that
Yep.
through your operating budget. So it would be nice if your tobacco fees, complemented that budget, operating budget a little bit.
What do you think, Joyce? What's your take?
Yeah, I think it's important to do those kinds of things and have everything in order. Then you've got it, doing that stuff.
Well, and the thing is that, in the operating,
Education is so important.
Very.
That
Yeah.
up component.
it's actually, in my opinion anyway, is just as important, if not more, as enforcement.
Right.
First they need to understand.
What the heck is their job?
Exactly.
Agreed. And
What's
that,
their job?
Mhm,
that could actually eliminate the need for any enforcement,
mhm.
just
Yeah,
having.
once
them
they,
helping
once
them
they know,
understand, right?
once they know what their responsibilities are there,
Absolutely.
sometimes they don't, they haven't found that yet.
No, and that's why it's important to sit down with them and
Right.
say,
Right.
these
I
are the
agree.
tobacco regulations that were given to you at the time that you applied for your tobacco permit. They probably went, okay, good. And,
Yeah, right.
I'm not saying that that's the case. However, to sit down with them, and say, okay, this is what our expectation is of your establishment with
Yeah.
regards to the tobacco regulations.
Yep.
And once they understand all that, and if they don't, if they have questions, happy to go back, answer those questions. Because once they become they're informed and educated with regards to what their expectations are, they want to comply.
Oh,
That's the
sure.
whole thing, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
they
They
want
want,
trouble. Yeah,
absolutely,
right.
they want to comply.
Right.
It's just sometimes, you need to sit down with them and, the teacher and the student and say, okay, in the tobacco regulations, you're aware, blah, 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 blah. And they'll be like, oh, gee, really? So now you've sat down with them, or if they have any questions with regards to the tobacco regulations, you're there to answer those questions. And then once they realize it, they're like, wow, and they really do want to comply, they want to have a youth check, and they want to
Right.
know that all their clerks, that they can trust their clerks, that their
Right.
clerks are going to card accordingly.
Right.
They probably appreciate the sense of, I guess, what I would call a partnership
Absolutely.
versus Big Brother,
Well, approach is everything,
right?
approach is everything. It
Yeah.
really is. Approach is everything.
So you in favor of raising the permit fee?
Well, I think we need a full board present, but so I'll just throw it out there, suggestions, what might be a suggested fee increase that we might be considering here?
I would suggest 250. It's not the highest out of the collaborative, and it's not the lowest from the collaborative. Well, currently, right now, Mendon is the lowest out of the collaborative. Oakdale's the highest at 500.
Okay. I mean, I could see a merit for,
That's per year.
Hmm?
Per year.
Per year, correct.
we probably, the downside is we've probably been so low for so long, like the trash program.
Yeah, they'll be like,
If we were to
oh,
do something like that, it'd be such a dramatic increase.
Right.
I could just see somebody looking at the form next year going, $250. I just paid 50 last year.
right.
Well, you could,
Not sell tobacco at all,
yeah,
and watch your store sales go down.
Well, I wouldn't want to take that
No, of course not, but
because I'm personally all about fees. I very much believe in a sum zero game when it comes to what government agencies charge, right? So my view is that you should be basically charging what it costs to perform the
Do the
actions and
inspections
services,
do
right?
That stuff.
Yeah, but not, I see some fee structures and sometimes I've seen them astronomically high and I'm like, if I was a resident of that town, I'd probably be knocking on the select board's door every day saying, what are you people thinking? But so I want to be fair.
Right.
So maybe at 250, maybe the fair, but I would say something we should,
Right. Again, I think that your previous point about waiting until Alan is
Yeah.
here.
mhm.
Yeah.
And so that we can just cut the discussion and
Yeah.
go to the next thing.
yeah. All right,
Um,
cool. Thank you, Colleen.
Lowell's Restaurant.
Mhm.
Are they in compliance? Everything's working with that?
They're not on, it's a 6-month window and I believe that I don't have my tablet with me. I'll get back to you tomorrow. I'll tell you the last time that they were checked, but they're not on the current rotation. So I would say then that
Okay.
but they will be
Right.
up, they will be up, probably next month or,
Right. Right.
or October.
That's
And I
fine.
can meet with Lydia next week.
She was in Greece.
Oh, you know what?
Lowell's.
I'm thinking of Willowbrook. Don't
Oh.
ask me why. You
Well,
know what? I
because-
just
of
went
course, 'cause
to,
That's how we do it.
well, I went right back to Old Lowell's.
Right.
That's what happened to me.
I
Yes,
know.
I'm meeting with, Lydia is on vacation until the 26th.
Yeah.
And I did go down there and I
Son's
visited
there.
with them. Yep. And, I had a nice conversation with, the manager there. Lydia is coming back on Saturday and I'm expecting a, call from her
Right.
next week and I'm going down and I will introduce myself and we'll go through some things.
Good.
Absolutely. Yep,
Good.
absolutely. Yeah, I immediately went to Old
I know.
Lowell's.
I know. I do
So
the
now
same
I'm thinking
thing.
Willowbrook, wait a minute, and I don't, not even that it's even Willowbrook, that it's
Yeah,
Lowell's, because
know.
to me, that's where it will always be. Right?
Me too. Okay. So I was just checking on that. Are we good?
Okay, tobacco permit discussion?
Yep.
Any last item, any topics not anticipated within 48 hours? You have any?
That
Colleen,
was
you
the
have
one that
anything?
I was just I was ahead of you on that already. On that. Was just to see how that one was working. So,
Yeah, it'll be fine.
yeah, good.
Absolutely.
All right,
Absolutely fine. Yep.
Just checking.
cool.
Shall I make a motion
Make a motion?
to abandon? I mean,
Sure. Okay.
that, yeah. adjourn.
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 I'll step down and second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Meeting is now adjourned and now next scheduled.
Next scheduled meeting would be Wednesday, September 13th.
September
Imagine
13th.
September. Holy cow.
No, my life is gone before my
We'll put- be
eyes.
putting the
And
Christmas.
7:30 again.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's fine with me. How late is your, the league go, Joyce, in the season? Out of
Uh-huh.
curiosity, how late does your league go into the season?
We'll be, not next, yeah, next week, I think is the last time we'll be having a
Okay.
thing.